Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dana. Thanks again for watching. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. We've got a really fun and exciting one today. I'm talking all about sunscreens that I've changed my mind on. I've done one of these before, I will link it here, but it's kind of one of those things where I just need sometimes extra time with certain ones, or sometimes I'm using it maybe in the wrong way. I mean, there's no wrong way, but sometimes you just have to kind of get a little bit more familiar with it. So that's what this video is about. I hope you enjoy it. If you are new and you have not already subscribed, please consider doing so below. Also give it a big ol' like, even if you don't like it. It just helps my channel and you will get karma points for doing that. All right guys, let's get into it. I am gonna jump in with the first sunscreen. So the first one I have is the Peter Thomas Roth Max Clear Invisible Priming Sunscreen. I've done a full video on this. It was called the Nuanced Look at Invisible Sunscreens. I will link it above. And this was one of the ones in there. And I didn't dislike it per se, but I couldn't really figure out when was the best time to use it. Now I know it is the perfect makeup primer sunscreen. So if you like that really blurred, smooth, pore-less, or less pores, not totally gone, you know what I mean. This is the one for you. It does that almost immediately. You can even see it on your hand when you do it, like if you're testing it out. It's very hard to show because it is invisible, but I will insert a little clip here. But it really does kind of just like take that canvas and rinse it clean of anything and gives you this really perfected kind of area to do your makeup on. But also I really enjoy wearing it in the morning before I work out. So I haven't just noticed, but I sweat a lot and that's completely normal. And even when I wear a chemical sunscreen, I will see the chemical sunscreen, like the white residue kind of like dripping off if I'm sweating a lot. So I've started just using clear or these invisible sunscreens. And I wear them because when I work out, it's early, but the sun is up. And so I want to wear something, but I don't want to deal with residue coming off my face. I can't wear mineral sunscreens when I work out. Can't really wear chemical because they sweat it off. So this one especially is waterproof, clear. If I sweat, nothing happens. You can't see anything. And I've just really fallen in love with using invisible sunscreens for that. So you can use it kind of, I would say, either situation, or you can just use it all the time. But this one is definitely going to give you that matte look. So if you're looking for something a bit more dewy, this is not the one for you. But I have absolutely fallen in love with it. It's pretty pricey, so there are other options. But if you're looking for that like really blurred out skin, this is the one. The next one, I'm just going to stick with the invisible for the moment. This is the Clear as Day Broad Spectrum SPF 46 by Starface. I have done a video on this. It should be up by now. It's kind of like just recent sunscreens. And this one was another one that I was like, I like it, but there's some things that I don't love. And those things are kind of still around. One being that the pump sometimes doesn't work. And also, well, it does, but you have to just pump it a lot, even if I've been using it for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. And then the other thing is you almost have to shake this one because the first few pumps, the first time I use it, almost always come out very liquidy, and that's not the texture of the sunscreen. It's actually more of kind of like, not like the Peter Thomas Roth, but thicker kind of clear goopy stuff, not liquid though. So I would suggest shaking it and making sure that kind of you get it out of its liquid form. But this one is a really interesting one. It goes on very silky. It has that very silicone-y texture. It's a little bit thinner than the Supergoop, what's it called, Unseen sunscreen. So it's kind of in between this one being very thick. And I would say that this, out of all of them, is maybe one of the silkiest ones out there. The thing about it that I've really come to love, and again, it's very hard for me to show you because it is invisible, but I'll insert some B-roll here. soaks in surprisingly well. I find that a lot of the silicone clear sunscreens, they just sit on top of your skin. This one, it still feels silky and it still feels like maybe a little greasy, but if you give it about 5 minutes, it's gonna soak in and you're not gonna feel anything. So this one, being one of the cheaper ones, is one that I've really fallen in love with, and I would definitely consider repurchasing, maybe even above this, just because the price of this is so much. So those are two that I have kind of fallen more in love with and was not expecting to like as much. Now let's go to one that I liked and now don't like as much. That is the Naked Sundays Collagen Glow Cream. So this one, while I love the look of it, I love the feel of it, it's just very easy. So it's kind of hard to wear if you know like it's just gonna sting and burn. And it is a shame because look at how easy that goes on. Like, I just really enjoy wearing it. But yeah, it's just one of those things that like I can't really wear if I know it's gonna get in my eyes, regardless of how close it gets to my eyes. So I haven't been wearing it quite as much. So maybe if that happens to others, they learn about it and maybe reformulate. But right now it's not something I reach for. Okay, another one. Now this one I was just kind of more on the fence about than like loving, hating, liking, disliking. And that is a Naturium Dew Glow Moisturizer SPF 50. So that's actually the one thing I really like about this, that it is SPF 50. But other than that, I don't really love a lot of the other aspects of it. Namely that it is so moisturizing / glowy / kind of greasy. It just never sets down. And as someone who has more normal skin, there are only a few times when I can really wear this. And that's gonna be when it's so dry out and my skin is just like dying for moisture. And even then, I would only be able to use this as a moisturizer and the sunscreen. I would never, ever be able to wear a moisturizer underneath it. So it kind of just limits when I can wear it, which is for me, maybe like 1 to 2 months out of the year. But all that said, it's just maybe not the sunscreen for me. And there are plenty of sunscreens out there that like, they work perfectly fine and people can get a lot of use out of them and really enjoy them. But for me, it's just not something I'm gonna reach for. So I'm not gonna say that it's a bad sunscreen. I just don't think that I'm gonna get a lot of use out of it. So this is probably something I will pass on to somebody, one of my friends that has more dry skin. Okay, we've got 2 more. So if you've been on this channel for any length of time, you will know I have a thing for Supergoop. And that's not necessarily a good thing, but I have a very love-hate relationship with Supergoop. I find most of their products to be very beginner friendly. You can use it, but only in a very small amount, which is what typical like sunscreen newbies do. They just don't use enough, which is fine. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying as you like kind of get into the sunscreen world, you tend to use more sunscreen, knowing that 1/4 teaspoon for your neck and your face is the proper amount. But all that to say, a lot of Supergoop sunscreens are made where like you use like a pump and it's perfect and it looks great. But in my opinion, that's not enough. And I find that I just wish they would make sunscreens that kind of encourage more use versus less. But I will tell you, this Supergoop Daily Dose is one of my favorites. I only have a few favorites from Supergoop, and that's not to say that they're my favorite out of all the sunscreens, just from the brand. So I like the Unseen sunscreen and then this Daily Dose. The way that I use this though is as skincare. I literally don't even think about it as a sunscreen. And that means that I can only use it when I use another chemical sunscreen because I don't like to mix chemical and mineral. So what I do with this is shake it. I use maybe like 1-2 pumps, not a lot, and kind of pat it, you can rub it, whatever, on my face and think of it as a vitamin C. I'm gonna get a glowy look with it. I could probably put a more matte sunscreen over top of it, but I just think of it as a vitamin C serum, and that's kind of how it works for me. So I never like said that I didn't like it. I just said that if you're using the actual proper amount, 1/4 teaspoon, you're gonna be so glowy. You're also gonna go through this so quickly, and it is pretty pricey. So I just think of it very differently now, and it works perfectly. Okay, and our last one. I don't think I've ever talked about this one on my channel because I got it and I used it and I hated it. It was actually gonna be in my worst of the worst videos, which I will link above if you're interested, of 2022. That is the Bondi Sands Sunny Days. So this one is a matte mineral sunscreen, which is actually something that I wish there were more of. It does have a tint to it. Let me show you. But when I first put this on, it looked, I don't even know. It looked so terrible on my skin. And now you can't really see it. I will insert the B-roll footage here. It really is quite nice now, and I'm not sure what happened. I feel like the color was so weird when I first tried it, and now it doesn't even really have like that much of a color. I just put it on over the glowy sunscreen, so you're not going to see the matte effect right now. But this is a really nice sunscreen. If you're looking for a matte mineral sunscreen, but that is tinted, it's not clear, this would be a good option. It's really cheap. I had a terrible time with their shipping though, so it took maybe like 2 months because they sent the wrong thing. This wasn't in the package, then they had to resend it. It took another 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So maybe that kind of turned me off. But in the end, I ended up really liking it. This one really reminds me of the Bliss Blockstar, kind of in that same vein of lightly tinted matte mineral sunscreens. This one is also pretty affordable, like the Bliss one, but this one is unscented, which is really nice, whereas the Bliss one has that lavender scent. So I'm just excited. I mean, I don't know why it took me so long to reuse it. Maybe I just had such a bad experience that I didn't want to, but I am glad that I kind of found something else that the matte look to it. And the other thing I wanted to mention, that if I'm comparing this Bondi Sands one to the Bliss, this one has a little bit less coverage, almost kind of like in terms of makeup wise, because the Bliss one can be a little thick. Like if you don't want any coverage, you just want kind of a sheer wash, the Bliss one can be a little heavy. And I find the Bondi Sand ones to be quite a bit lighter in terms of coverage, and then you just don't feel it as much on your face either. So that's another plus to it. Okay guys, so those are my thoughts that have changed where I am now with these sunscreens. Some of them I will be passing along. I hate giving somebody one like the Naked Sundays that kind of burns my eyes. Not to say that it will burn everyone's eyes, but I will pass probably these two along and then keep the others. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.